जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी यशोदनन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदनन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनतीरावनचारि यमुनतीरावनचारि जय राधमाधव कुञ्ज बिहारी जय राधमाधव कुञ्ज बिहारी जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी जय गोपीचन वल्लभा गिरिवरदारी यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यशोदानन्दन व्रजजनरञ्जन यमुनातीरावनचारि यमुनातीरावनचारि जय राधमाधव कुञ्ज बिहारी हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा शील प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा जय प्रभुपदा शील प्रभुपदा जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक स्तोत्र सदस्य श्रीमती स्वामी श्री भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन संस्थापकाचार्य श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विश्वपाद परमहंस परिव्राजक स्तोत्र सदस्य श्रीमती स्वामी श्री भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती गोस्वामी महाराज प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विश्वपाद लकुर किशोरदास स्वामी महाराज की जय। जय ओम विश्वपाद सच्चिदानंद सेवक ठाकुर की जय। जय ओम विश्वपाद वैष्णव साहब श्री जगन्नाथ दास महाराज की जय। जय श्री रूप सनातन भट्ट रघुनाथ श्री ग्रीव गोपाल भट्टदास रघुनाथ गोस्वामी प्रभु की जय। नमाचार्य दास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर साधु गौर भक्तवृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड के गोवर्धन की जय। श्री मायापुर धाम की जय, श्री वृंदावन धाम की जय, गंगा माई की जय, अमन माई की जय, भक्ति देवी की, तुलसी देवी की जय, आनंद कोटि वैष्णव की जय, श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय, ग्रंथ श्रीमद भागवतम की जय, इस्कॉन वर्तमान गुरुवंत की जय, समाज भक्त की जय, गौरव प्रेमानंद। All glories to the assembled. All glories to the assembled. All glories to the assembled. All glories to Shri and Shri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswati Vyasam Tato Jayamti He. Ashtapayeshu Apatreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Bhagavati Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtihi. Hare Krishna, welcome to the Friday morning Srimad Bhagavatam class. Today we are discussing from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 16, Text 19. Ayam tu sakshat Bhagavam Striyadishaha Utastatma Kalaya Vatirnaha Yasmin Avidya Rachitam Nirartakam Pashyanti Nana Tvam Api Pratitam. Ayam tu sakshat Bhagavam Striyadishaha Kutashtatma kalaya vatirnaha yasmin avidyarachitam nirartakam pashyanti nanatvam apipatitam. Ayam tu sakshat bhagavan triyadishaha kutashtatma kalaya vatirnaha yasmin avidyarachitam nirartakam pashyanti nanatvam apipatitam. Translation Srila Prabhupada ki jai. This king is the master of the three worlds, and he is directly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He is without change and is an incarnation of the Supreme known as Shakti Avesha Avatara. Being a liberated soul and completely learned, he sees all material varieties as meaningless because their basic principle is nescience. The reciters of these prayers are describing the transcendental qualities of Prithu Maharaj. These qualities are summarized in the words Shakshat Bhagavan. This indicates that Maharaj Prithu is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead and therefore possesses unlimited good qualities. Being an incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Maharaj Prithu could not be equal in his excellent qualities. The Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully equipped with 6 kinds of opulences, and King Prithu was also empowered in such a way that he could display the 6 opulences of the Supreme Personality of Godhead in full. The word Kutashta, meaning without change, is also very significant. There are 2 kinds of living entities, Nitya Mukta and Nitya Baddha. A Nitya Mukta never forgets his position as the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. One who does not forget this position and knows that he is the part and parcel of the Supreme Lord is a Nitya Mukta. Such a Nitya Mukta living entity represents the super soul as his expansion. As stated in the Vedas, Nityo Nityanam, thus the Nitya Mukta living entities knows that he is an expansion of the Supreme Nitya or the eternal Supreme Personality of Godhead. Being in such a position, he sees the material world with a different vision. The living entity who is Nitya Baddha or eternally conditioned sees the material varieties as being actually different from one another. In this connection, we should remember that the embodiment of the conditioned soul is considered to be like a dress. One may dress in different ways, but a really learned man does not take dresses into consideration. As stated in the Bhagavad Gita 5:18, Vidya Vinay Sampanne Brahmane Gavi Hastane Sunir Chaiva Spakecha Pandita Samadharshana. The humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and a gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog eater outcast. Thus, a learned man does not look upon the dresses that externally cover the living entity, but sees the pure soul within the varieties of dress, and knows very well that the varieties of dress are the creation of nescience, avidya, rachitam. Being a Shakti Avesha Avatara empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Prithu Maharaj did not change his spiritual position, and consequently, there was no possibility of his viewing the material world as reality. Omukyanatimirandasya, Nananjana Shalakaya, Chakshut Militam Vena, Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha, Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Stapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Bhupakada Mahyam Tadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Vidapadakamalaam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Satvaitam Savadutam Parijan Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sagana Lalita Shri Vishakan Vitamscha He Krishna Karunasindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopisha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute तप्तकांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुष्ठे देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिय वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपासिन्धुभ्यश्च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो विष्णुपाद कृष्णपुस्तकभूतले श्रीमद्भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिने नमने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादे पाश्चात्य देशधारणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवसादि गौर भक्तवृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे मोहम करोति वाचालं पंकं लंघयति गिरिं पद्मं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं निरतारणं परमानन्दं श्री चैतन्येश्वरम् Hare Krishna. So we see in this verse, the reciters, professional reciters are describing Prithu Maharaj as a very powerful personality and some of his inconceivable qualities. So the translation has mentioned about is the master of the three worlds and is directly empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and he is not subject to change like us. And he is incarnation of Supreme, known as Shakti Avesha Avatara. And being a liberated soul, he is completely learned. He sees all varieties as material varieties as meaningless because of passions. Okay. So we start from the beginning. We will understand what is a Shakti Avesha Avatara, what way they are different from the Lord's other incarnations. I got some quotes from Srimad Bhagavatam, second canto, which mentions that when the Lord descends personally or by his personal plenary expansions, such incarnations are called Amsa, Kala, Gunavatara, Yuga, and Manvantara Avataras. And when the Lord associates descent by the order of the when the Lord associates descent by the order of the Lord, such incarnations are called Shakti Avesha incarnations. But in all cases, all the incarnations are supported by invulnerable statements of the authorized scriptures and not by any imagination of some self-interested propagandist. Such incarnation of the Lord in either of the above categories always declare the Supreme Personality of Godhead to be the ultimate truth. So here, a definition of a Shakti Avesha Avatara is given. When the Lord descends, he comes in different types of incarnation. That is Amsa, Kala, Guna Avatara, Yuga Avatara, Manvantara Avatara. So the Lord's Krishna, first expansion is Balaram, which is also called Amsa. That means the Lord personally expands himself as Amsa. Then there are expansions of the expansions of the expansions of the Lord, which goes on, just like Srila Prabhupada gives an example of one candle, with you light the other candle and so forth, you can have multiple candles. But the original is Krishna himself, and the personal expansion of the Lord is Balaram, which is also called Amsa, and the subsequent plenary expansions are called Kala. Then there are Guna Avataras, like Lord Brahma is in charge of mode of passion, Vishnu is in the charge of mode of goodness, and Lord Shiva is in the mode of ignorance. Then there are Yuga Avataras who appear in every Yuga, Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and so forth. They appear in every Yugas. And then each Yuga has got about 72 Manvantaras, and every Manvantara there's an incarnation of the Lord. These are different types of incarnations that they all appear by the order of the Supreme Lord. And when the Lord's associates, that means the eternal associates of the Lord in the spiritual planets, they also descend by the order of the Lord. And such incarnations are called Shakti Avesha incarnations. And we will discuss some of the examples in some more slokas a little later. But in all such cases, these incarnations are supported by statements in the scriptures, authorized scriptures like Bhagavad Gita, Srimad Bhagavatam, and so forth. So there's a description about all these incarnations, scriptures. There cannot be any self-styled or self-claimed incarnations. And all these incarnations, irrespective of who they declare that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the ultimate truth. Now, we find one example in the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, that is Yamaraj and Vidura. Yamaraj is also an associate of the Lord, and he's the controller of life after death. That means after someone leaves the body, that soul goes to Yamaraj for the next course of action, whether punishment in hellish planets or promotion to any other heavenly planets and so forth. So Yamaraj decides the living entity's destinies in their next life, and he is surely among the confidential representatives of the Lord. Such confidential posts are offered to great devotees of the Lord who are as good as his eternal associates in the spiritual sky. So Yamaraj is also one of the confidential associates of the Lord. And because Vidura happened to be among them, the Lord, while returning to Vaikuntha, left instructions for Vidura with Maitreya Muni. So Yamaraj appeared as Vidura we see in the Mahabharata. And when the Lord wound up his pastimes, he left instructions for Vidura with Maitreya Muni. And this was conveyed to Vidura by Uddhava, who is also another close associate of the Lord. Then there's a further mention that generally the eternal associates of the Lord in the spiritual sky do not come to the material world. Sometimes they come, however, by the order of the Lord, not to hold any administrative post, but to associate with the Lord in person, or to propagate the message of God in human society. Such empowered representatives are also called Shakti Avishya Avtaras, or incarnations invested with transcendental power of attorney. So Vidura is one such person who appeared 5,000 years before, based by the order of the Lord for a particular mission. Of course, we all know that Vidura was a great devotee of the Lord, and he was none other than Yamaraj himself, and they are one of the Mahajanas, were authorities as far as the Lord's knowledge is concerned. Then in the fourth canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there is a mention as whenever one does have an extraordinary power, he should conclude that a special partial representation of the personality of Godhead is present. I mean, there are many such personalities, but not all of them are direct Vishnu Tattva plenary expansions of the Lord. Many living entities are classified among the Shakti Tattvas. Such incarnations empowered for specific purposes are known as Shakti Avataras. But King Prithu was such a Shakti avatar of the Lord. Similarly, Archi, wife King Prithu, was a Shakti Avesha avatara of the goddess of fortune. That means some personalities come with specific powers for a particular mission. They are not Vishnu Tattvas, but they are called as Shakti Tattvas. And they come with a specific mission. And in the case of Prithu Maharaj, this mission will be described at the later part of verses. And along with Prithu appeared Queen Archi, and she was an expansion of the goddess of fortune. That's why she's also called a Shakti Avishya avatar of the goddess of fortune. In the fourth canto itself, there's an explanation given that Prithu Maharaj was a Shakti Avishya avatara incarnation of the Lord Vishnu. Prithu Maharaj was a living entity, but he acquired specific powers from Lord Vishnu. Lord Vishnu, however, is directly the Supreme Personality of Godhead and belongs to the category of Vishnu Tattva. So there are two categories of Tattvas, Vishnu Tattva and Jiva Tattva. So Prithu Maharaj was not a Vishnu Tattva, he was a Jiva Tattva, but he got specific powers from the Lord himself. And thus he's not Vishnu Tattva. Maharaj Prithu therefore belonged to Jiva Tattva. The Vishnu Tattva indicates God, whereas Jiva Tattva indicates part and parcel of God. When God's part and parcel is specifically empowered, he's called Shakti Avesha Avatara. So when a Jiva is empowered by the Lord for a particular mission, he is called as a Shakti Avesha Avatara. Another quote from the Srimad Bhagavatam 4th canto, it says that Lord Vishnu appears in his person as Lord Krishna or Lord Rama. All these appearances are mentioned in Shastra. Sometimes he appears as a Shakti Aveshta Avatara like Lord Buddha. So Buddha is a Shakti Avesha Avatara. As explained before, these Shakti Avish avatars are incarnations of Vishnu's power invested in a living entity. That means Lord Buddha is also a Jiva entrusted with power. So he's with certain powers, and so he's called a Shakti Avish avatar, not directly God himself. Then there's mentioned that living entities are also part and parcel of Lord Vishnu, but they are not as powerful as Vishnu. Therefore, when a living entity descends as an incarnation of Vishnu, he is specifically empowered by the Lord. Then there is another quote that when King Prithu is described as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu, it should be understood that he is a Shakti Avesh Avatara, part and parcel of Lord Vishnu, and is specifically empowered by him. Any living being acting as an incarnation of Lord Vishnu is thus empowered by Lord Vishnu to preach the Bhakti cult. Such a person can act like Lord Vishnu and defeat demons by arguments and preach the Bhakti cult exactly according to the principles of Shastra. Like Lord Buddha came to preach non-violence. So these empowered incarnations are Jiva Tattvas, but they act like Lord Vishnu. They can defeat demons physically or even by arguments and preach bhakti. So one of the mission of Lord King Prithu was to propagate bhakti cult. Then there's a quote in the 8th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam. Lord Brahma creates, Lord Shiva annihilates, but both Lord Brahma and Lord Shiva are incarnations of Lord Vishnu and are known as Shakti Avesha avatars. So though they are Guna avatars, they are also designated as Shakti avatars. The reason is given. They are endowed with a special power like that of Lord Vishnu, who is actually all pervading in their activity. Therefore, whenever prayers for protection are offered to Lord Shiva, actually Lord Vishnu is indicated. But otherwise, Lord Shiva is meant for destruction. Lord Shiva is one of the Ishwaras, the controllers known as Shakti Avisha Avatara. Therefore, he can be addressed as having the qualities of Lord Vishnu. So Lord Shiva is actually as close as Vishnu, but he is not Vishnu. But he is also empowered. So that is why he can also be considered as a Shakti Avataras. But he has got some qualities as Vishnu. Vishnu has got 60 qualities in full. Lord Shiva does not have all these qualities in full. This is the difference between both of them. And Lord Shiva is called, he has a separate tattva called Shiva tattva. Then in the 9th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, there's an example given. There was a king in the name of Kartavir Arjuna. And he, Jamadagni, who was the father of Parasurama, had something called a desire cow. These cows are desire fulfilling. Whatever desires one has, these cows fulfill the desire. So he had a desire cow. So this Kartavir Arjuna, he stole Jamadagni's desire cow. Then Parasurama at that time, who was also called as a Shakti Avesha Avatara, he came and killed Kartavir Arjuna. So Parashurama also is a Shakti Avesha Avatara. So he was also a Jiva who is empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So there are many Jivas who reside in the spiritual world who are all associates of the Lord. And the Lord sometimes, many times, need not come on his own personally, but he sends his associates with a specific purpose. And he gives them a lot of powers. And one of them is Prithu Maharaj. And these Jivas who reside in the spiritual world, they come here with a mission. And once the mission is over, they go back to the spiritual world. This is in a nutshell a definition about Prithu Maharaj being a Shakti Avesha Avatara. The next point that is mentioned is that Lord King Prithu Maharaj is a controller of the 3 worlds. That means the entire planetary system, there are 14 planetary systems, right from the topmost of known as Brahmaloka, all the way to the down as Patala Loka. These are classified into 3 categories: the upper planetary systems, the middle planetary system, and the lower planetary systems. The Earth is supposed to be the middle planetary systems, and then there are 7 above, 7 beneath. So the Prithu Maharaj is a controller of all the 3 worlds, upper, middle, and the lower planetary systems. Then there's a quote in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which says that there are two kinds of controllers or lords. One who is independent is called controller. That means Krishna is a controller because he's Swaraj, he's independent. And one whose orders cannot be neglected by anyone is also called controller. That means someone is giving an order and it cannot be ignored, is also called a controller. Now, regarding Krishna's complete independence and lordship, Srimad Bhagavatam says that although Kaliya was a great offender to Lord Krishna, but Krishna still favored him by marking his head with his lotus feet. Whereas Brahma, though he prayed to Krishna so much with one nice, wonderful praises, did not get, still could not attract the Supreme Lord. So the point is that though Kaliya was an offender, the Lord gave his mercy to Kaliya by placing his lotus feet on the hood of the snake and then he danced on them. This is a fortune that even Brahma, who is a creator and who gave a lot of wonderful verses of glorification, which is mentioned in the second canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, did not get that mercy which Kaliya got. There's another mention that this contradictory statement by Krishna is just befitting his position, because in all the Vedic literatures, he is described as the complete independent. That means the Lord is Swaraj, is independent to do what he wants. And the beginning of Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord is described as Swaraj, which means he's completely independent. The Lord does not depend on anyone or on any object. That is the position of the Supreme Absolute Truth. So the Absolute Truth is not only sentient, but is also completely independent. As far as Krishna's orders are concerned, that cannot be neglected by others. In the Srimad Bhagavatam, third canto, there is a mention which says that Uddhava is telling Vidura, Uddhava is also an associate of the Lord, and he resembles exactly the Lord, and he dresses like Lord Krishna. And from a distance, when the gopis used to see Uddhava, they used to think that he is Lord Krishna himself. And this Uddhava, when he was winding up his pastimes, he went to Badrikasrama and to perform tapasya. And Lord gave instructions to Uddhava to be conveyed to Vidura, which I mentioned at the beginning of the class. So Uddhava is telling Vidura, Lord Krishna is the master of three modes of material nature. He is the enjoyer of all the opulences, and therefore there is no one equal to him or greater than him. All the great kings and emperors used to come before him, offer their gifts and pay obeisances with their helmets at the feet of the Lord. And one devotee said, my dear Krishna, when you order Brahma, now you may create the universe. And when you order Lord Shiva, now you dissolve this material manifestation. You are in this way creating and dissolving the material creation yourself. Simply by your orders and by your partial representation of Vishnu, you are maintaining the universe in this way, O Krishna, enemy of Kamsa. There are so many Brahmas and so many Shivas who are simply carrying out your orders. As you all know, Lord Brahma is responsible for creation, Vishnu is responsible for maintenance, and Lord Shiva is meant for annihilation. So here, the important point given is that there are so many universes, and in every universe, there's a different Brahma, there's a different Shiva. So, and everywhere they carry out the same responsibility. Brahma takes care of creation, and Lord Shiva takes care of annihilation. And they do this by the order of the Supreme Lord Krishna. When Krishna orders Brahma, you create, Brahma creates. When Krishna orders Lord Shiva, you annihilate, Lord Shiva annihilates. This is the position of Lord Krishna. So obviously, he's also the controller of the three worlds. Now, another important point that is mentioned in the purport today is that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is fully equipped with full opulences. That means Lord Krishna has many opulences, and they are classified into 6 categories, namely strength, knowledge, wealth, beauty, power, fame, and renunciation. These are the 6 opulences. And when Krishna was present in Dwarka, his family, which is known as the Yadu dynasty, consisted of 560 million members. Can you imagine 560 million members? That was the size of Yadu dynasty. And all these members were very obedient and faithful to Krishna. And there were more than 900,000 big palatial buildings to house all the people. If you go to Dwaraka, you will see that there is a uh, uh, old these things left out of Dwarka. You may not see 900,000 big palatial building, but what this Dwarka got submerged, and still it is said that it's underneath the sea. So they all respected Krishna as the most worshipable personality, and devotees were astonished to see the opulence of Krishna. There's also a confirmation given by William Mangala Thakur in his Krishna Karanamrita. He says, "My dear Lord, what can I say about the opulence of your Vrindavanam? Simply the ornaments on the legs of the damsels of Vrindavana are more than Chintamani, and their dresses are as good as the heavenly Parijata flowers. And the cows resemble exactly the Surabhi cows in the Transcendental Abode. Therefore, your opulence is just like an ocean that no one can measure. One cannot measure the size of the ocean. Similarly, here Vilamangalataka says that one cannot measure the opulence of Krishna because the Lord is unlimited. That is why the Lord is also called Ananta. Then there's a point mentioned that the Kutastha, that means the Lord does not change. Now, we the Jivas change every moment. Our body deteriorates every second. Uh, Time takes away the body every moment, but the body doesn't come back. What is gone is gone. But the Lord is spiritual in nature, and he does not change. So there is a mention in the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, which says that Krishna does not change his constitutional position either, not even when he appears in this material world. So even if Krishna appears in this material world, he does not change his constitutional position. He's always God. God is God. That's all. Their position does not change just because they appear in this material world. Then there is a mention that ordinary living entities have their constitutional positions covered. They appear in different bodies, and under the different bodily concepts of life, they act. But Krishna does not change his body. He appears in his own body and is therefore not affected by three modes of material nature. So when Krishna appears, his body does not change because it is spiritual. So they are not affected by three modes of material nature. In the first canto, 11th verse 38 of Srimad Bhagavatam, it is mentioned that the important point of the supreme control is that he is not affected by the three modes of material nature. Now, we, the conditioned living entities, are affected by three modes, that is goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the more we are situated in the lower modes like passion and ignorance, our body deteriorates much faster. And the more one is situated in the mode of goodness, our body lifespan extends. But the body keeps on changing for everyone. And the practical example is that devotees who are under the protection of the Lord are also not affected by the material nature. To overcome the influence of material nature is very difficult, but devotees or saintly persons who are under protection of the Lord are not affected. That is why you might see that even at a time, the people who have lived a very long lifespan, they must all have been devotees of the Lord, or they would have been at least in the mode of goodness, where they don't conduct to any sinful activities. Sinful activities reduce the lifespan, which we see in Kali Yuga. So the Lord acts with full independence in his transcendental position. This is a special quality of the Lord. Then there is a mention in the purport of two classes of living entities. One is Nitya Mukta and the second is Nitya Baddha. A Nitya Mukta is one who never forgets his position as the eternal servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That means they are eternally liberated souls and they are called Nitya Mukta. And they are always situated in the spiritual planet, but they come here with a particular purpose, like our spiritual masters, most of them. Srila Prabhupada is an eternal associate of the Lord. But he appeared, it is also said he was also a Shakti Avesha Avatara because he had special powers which a normal jiva does not have. That's why he was responsible for spreading the Krishna consciousness throughout the world. These souls are called Nitya Mukta. Such a Nitya Mukta living entity represents the super soul as his expansion. So as stated in Vedas, Nityo Nityanam Chaitanya Chaitananam, uh, Nitya Mukta is a living entity who knows that he's an expansion of the Supreme Nitya, or the eternal servitor of the personality of Godhead. They know that they are eternally servants, but he sees this material world with a different vision. So Prithu Maharaj was a Nitya Mukta who came to this material world to render service to the Supreme Lord. So these Nitya Muktas are those who are situated in the spiritual world, but sometimes by the order of the Lord, they come to the material world to perform some pastime by the order of the Lord. The other type of living entity is called Nitya Baddha, or eternally conditioned. These are eternally conditioned souls like us are called eternally Nitya Baddha, because we are eternally conditioned in this material world. But that does not mean that we cannot be delivered from this material world by taking up the process of devotional service and surrendering unto the Lord. Living entities like us also can become conditioned souls. We should try that. We don't become conditioned for a long period of time. So Prithu Maharaj was a Nitya Mukta who came to render service to the Supreme Lord. Now the Nitya Baddha living entity, they are eternally conditioned. They see the material world as varieties being different from one another. So basically, the Nitya Baddha entities, they look at this material world in different forms, and they are all varieties. But Srila Prabhupada mentions in this purport that one should look at these from a saintly point of view as merely dresses, because anything to do with the material world, if they have of various forms, they are merely one of ignorance or nescience. They are just like a dress which covers a body of a living entity. So one might have a nice dress, one may have a very simple dress, but a learned person does not differentiate between dresses, but rather he takes the soul, takes into consideration the soul which is mentioned, and quote is given about Bhagavad Gita Sloka 518, which says, Vidya Vinay Sampadne, Brahmane Kavi Hastene, Suni Chaiva Supakecha, Pandita Samadarshinaha. The translation says, the humble sage by virtue of true knowledge sees with equal vision a learned and a gentle Brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, or a dog eater outcast. The meaning of this is that one who is really learned, for example, a Brahmana, who is well versed in Vedic knowledge, he sees with equal vision, whether it's a Brahmana or a cow or an elephant and a dog or a dog eater, he sees everyone on the same platform, because he considers the body as just like a dress. Dress has no value, whether one wears a rich, opulent dress like a suit and coat, or when wears a simple dress like a veshti and kurta, whatever it is. A truly learned person is one who sees the soul within each of these bodies, but he does not differentiate between a Brahmana or a cow, because he says that the soul is the same in all these bodies. So Prithu Maharaj saw the material world the way Krishna sees, and he also realized that everything, whatever he sees, there were so many varieties, there are so many varieties in the material world. But Prithu Maharaj realized that the material world is real, but then it is temporary. That is the most important. The cellular Brahmana does not look upon the dresses that externally cover the living entity, but sees the pure soul within the varieties of dress, and knows very well that the varieties of dresses are the creation of nescience. There is something called avidya, chitam. That means one who looks at bodily dresses or bodily different forms, they are all they all come under the classification of uh, avidya rachitam, and this is basically due to ignorance of the living entity. And Puttu Maharaj, being a Shakti Avesha Avatara empowered by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, did not change his spiritual position, and consequently there was no possibility of viewing the material world as reality. That means Puttu Maharaj was an incarnation of the Lord himself. His position is spiritual, like all the Vishnu Tattvas. and there was no possibility for him to view this material world as a reality. That means we, the conditioned souls, we look at this material world as on in all. The material world is real, but it is not permanent, it is temporary. So conditioned souls like us who are classified as Nitya Baddha, they see the variegatedness in this material world, and they think that this is all in all, but it is not all in all, because material world is 1/4 of the total creation, whereas spiritual world comprises 3/4 of the total creation. So that is what how the difference between the material and spiritual world creation is. So a true incarnation of the Lord or devotees of the Lord don't identify the material world as as a reality. It is existing, it is real, but it's not the ultimate reality. But they're all variegatedness of nescience or ignorance. And Parikshit Maharaj, he being a spiritual in a spiritual position, he did not change his spiritual position, whereas a conditioned soul considers the dress, whereas Patumara did not see the change in his spiritual position. That means Parikshit Maharaj considered this material world creation as more as a phantasmagoria or more as an illusion, but he did not see it as total reality, ultimate reality. It is real, but it is not the ultimate reality. The material world comes to an end, and Parikshit Maharaj realized that it is real, but it is not temporary. Because he was in a spiritual position, he looked at this material world as just another dress of a spirit. In fact, Shastras mention that the material universes, they float in the universe because of the presence of Garbhodakasaya Vishnu in the universe. That means when the creation takes place, Lord Mahavishnu exhales and many innumerable millions of universes come out of the pores of his body. Thereafter, the Lord further expands as Garbhodakasaya Vishnu and enters in each of the universe and keeps the universes floating. We see our universe is floating because the Lord is present as Garbhodakasaya Vishnu. Now, because our body is not the ultimate, our body is actually active because of the presence of soul within the body. If the soul leaves, our body becomes heavy. So Srila Prabhupada gives an example. Similarly, Lord as Garbhodakasaya Vishnu enters into each and every universe, and that's how the universe is made light by the presence of the Lord as Super Soul. So a true personality, spiritual personality, is one who does not see uh, these material verities as the ultimate, but he sees the soul inside. So the Lord is present as a super soul in Garbhodakasaya Vishnu, and a true devotee is one who understands that the universe is active because the presence of the Lord as Paramatma in the universe. So Prithu Maharaj viewed all these things, and by seeing the material world, he did not become affected by the material nature. Rather, he did not change his spiritual position as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whereas a conditioned soul in the material world gets affected by the three modes of material nature, and they fall down from their spiritual position. They are subject to change. Whereas a personality like Prithu Maharaj was a Shakti Avesha Avatara who is not subject to change. So these are the important points in today's sloka. With this, I conclude the class for the day. If anyone has got any questions, any comments, they can ask me.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Danda Pranam Prabhu.
Hare Krishna Bodhanda Prabhu.
Thanks for the wonderful class, Prabhuji.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji, there's some realization like Shakti Vesha Avatara, Prithu Maharaj, and even Prabhupada, you mentioned that he also is a Shakti Vesha Avatara. So, how to realize that as Prithu Maharaj is not under three modes, but Prabhupada is easy also in three modes, and no, how to understand this, Prabhuji?
Prabhupada was never affected by the three modes of material nature. Never. Otherwise, if Prabhupada was affected by the three modes of nature, how could he deliver conditioned souls like the hippies? Prabhupada was definitely far beyond the three modes of material nature. Uh, he might externally look like having a material body, but he was never affected by three modes of nature. Even it is said by leaving his body, he was giving translation to Srimad Bhagavatam, 10th canto. So Prabhupada, though had a material body, he was free from all the three modes.
Oh,
And
yes, Prabhu.
he had that power to propagate Krishna consciousness, and not everybody had that power. So that is why it is said that he also had that potency as a Shakti Avatara.
Hmm.
He is associate of the Lord. There's no doubt about it. So he came here with a specific power to propagate Krishna consciousness. And it was already predicted in Shastras also that a great personality will come and propagate Krishna consciousness throughout the world. That is also mentioned in the Shastras. So these incarnations are predicted.
So basically, Sakti Vesha Avatara means Krishna gives a particular Shakti to these devotees. Like,
See, we are all jivas. We are all separated parts and parcels. See, there are two types of classifications. One is Swamsa and one is Vibhinamsa. Swamsa expansions are the Lord's direct expansions, like Balaram, Sankarshna, they are all direct expansions. We are all Vibhinamsa. Vibhinna means separated part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Whereas the Swamsa expansions are integrated part and parcel of the Lord. They are all parcel of the Lord, but they are all parcel. They are not separated like us. We are separated parcel and parcel. We are called jivas. Now, what happens is that there are jivas who are eternal associates, who are associated, who are living with the Lord in the spiritual world. And these jivas, the Lord directs them to come to this material world with a specific purpose. Like Lord Buddha, I mentioned. Then I mentioned about Parashuram. They are all jiva tattvas, but they're all pure devotees of the Lord. And the Lord sends them to the material world with a specific purpose. And once the mission is over, they go back to their respective spiritual world. And they are not affected by the three modes of material nature at all.
yes. And Prabhuji, like one more thing you mentioned in the class, like yes, it's mentioned that we should see equally everything, like even dog, like
Yes,
cat,
yes, 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 yes,
but
yes.
they differ in the nature now, Prabhuji. Like we can't like go and hug a tiger and
You
they
can't
can.
do that, but you
Yeah.
must not differentiate their bodies. Now, for example, their bodies are not given by you, correct? All these
Correct.
material bodies are given by the Lord Himself. Now, Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur says, even if you find fault with a small insignificant ant, it's a great offense you are doing to a living entity because it's a body given by the Lord. Who are you to comment on that? So the point we must understand is that we cannot embrace a tiger. We cannot go and embrace a honeybee. They will harm you. But the thing is, you should not look at their external covering. That's why I quoted this sloka from Bhagavad Gita, Vidyavane Sampane Brahmane Gavyastine. A true learned person or a Brahmana is one who looks at the spiritual spirit soul inside, whereas all the others are like external dresses. Today I wear one dress, tomorrow I wear another dress, but this body is the same. Similarly, the soul within all these living entities, whether it's a cow or an elephant or a dog, the soul is the same. They have got an external covering due to their karma, but it is not given by us. It is given by the Lord. So we can't find fault with them. We cannot go and embrace them. At the same time, we cannot degrade them, saying that, oh, he's a dog. Many people find aversion, isn't it? Sometimes somebody may have an aversion for a dog. That aversion is not right. Rather, one should see the soul within that as a part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. That person is called an intelligent person or a wise person who is well versed in Vedic knowledge.
Yes, Prabhu.
Clear,
So we
Prabhu?
should say, we should think that these are, we are all part and parcel, all living entities are part and parcel, just different dresses we have worn. That's it.
Yes. We have some attachment for our family members.
Mm.
We don't look at them as a soul inside, but we identify as our family members. Why not others? Till Prabhupada gives an example. There are so many children. Why don't you identify others as your children? Because you're identifying with the body. So similarly, we should not have aversion also to anybody, to any living entity, as a matter of fact. A tiger may be very harmful, but we cannot develop aversion for that, because the attachment and aversion will keep us bound in this material world.
Correct.
If you have aversion to somebody, you can develop the same body in your next birth. Just like you have attachment, you will develop the same body as your attachment. Similarly, if you have aversion, you can develop the same body in your next birth. So both attachment and aversion should not be there. Rather, you should see that there's a soul within every body. They have got this external body, but due to their karma, and just leave it at that. That's all. Neither you have to develop any attachment, or you. That is the entire Bhagavad Gita is only about that, attachment and detachment.
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes. Prabhuji, when we say we are part and parcel of Krishna,
Yes.
so all the jivas who are part and parcel of Krishna. So are the jivas limited? Like this is the number of the jivas which Krishna has. We are part and parcel, or it is produced more and more by Krishna. How to understand this?
There are
Sometimes
unlimited. There are unlimited jivas, okay, in different forms of life. But these jivas are classified into Nitya Mukta and Nitya Baddha. Now, the Nitya Baddha entities are here in this material world. That itself is unlimited. You see, their classification is 84 lakh species of life. But we don't know how many snakes are there, how many cows are there, how many scorpions are there. They're unlimited. That unlimited in this material world itself is 1/4 of the total creation. The remaining 3/4, then from that you must imagine how many species are there and what may be the numbers. They are unlimited in numbers. And there is no comparison in terms of numbers in mathematics. So they are unlimited and they are all part and parcel of the Lord. Everyone is a part and parcel of the Lord. Only thing is those who are Nitya Muktas, they identify themselves as servants of the Lord. Nitya Baddhas, we identify ourselves by our body and we think that I am all in all. I have nothing to do with Krishna, whereas we are part and parcel of Krishna. That part and parcel is that Atma within us. And that parcel, similarly, the Lord is situated in our heart as Paramatma. That Paramatma is a part and parcel of Krishna. He is the second stage of realization. Now, Paramatma is also unlimited. We can't count how many Paramatma. The Lord is present in every Jivatma as Paramatma. It's not that the Paramatma is individual, is one Paramatma present in all of them. So these are all inconceivable features which we cannot understand because we are conditioned.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you very much, Prabhu. Hare Krishna, Thank you all very much. Granth Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.